Hi, I'm Dallas Cothrum with Masterplan. Welcome to If You'll Permit Me. Today I'm here with the CEO of GFF Architecture, Evan Beattie. Evan, thanks for attending.
And thanks for having me, Dallas.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure to be here.
Talking about all things Dallas. And so, our
firm's about Dallas with Dallas. Was that on the list of potential podcasts?
We could do that. In college, I was Dallas from Dallas.
Dallas from Dallas.
Which was very easy for people. We've worked on lots of projects from before both of us were at our firms. So, tell us a little bit about, where GFF is today, versus we're both kind of second generation operators in our businesses. So talk about, that influence of starting with the founders and where you are, please.
Yeah, I'd love to. So GFF was founded in Dallas in 1982. And so next year we'll be celebrating our 40th year as a firm.
We're doing that this year.
Oh, cool. 40th this year.
Yeah.
Wow. Very similar founding dates. We've been in Dallas for 40 years, and our founders started thinking about what version 2.0 of GFF would look like about 15 years ago. They brought in some outside consultants to look at options. Did they want the firm to be a legacy firm and live on after their retirement? Did they want the firm to be purchased by somebody from out of state that gives them a foothold into Texas and really grow that way? Or did they want to do some other structure like an ESOP or some other way of transferring the ownership? They decided they wanted the firm to be a legacy firm to carry on after they retired. And in doing that, they looked for next generation leaders of the firm, people who were up and coming in their careers, that they saw potential in being future owners of the firm or near-term owners of the firm, and elevated them to principals, and just kind of watched us grow and did a lot of mentoring. And Larry Good, I think in 2018, felt comfortable enough in me taking his place as overseeing the business development efforts of the firm and zoning and entitlement work and a lot of planning work, that he felt comfortable retiring in 2018. So he stepped away from the firm then. And Duncan Fulton retired in 2020, January of 2020. So we're now about 18, 19 months into being a firm that's led fully by second generation owners. And it's certainly been a challenging first 18 months given the pandemic, closely coinciding with Duncan's retirement, and dealing with a lot of challenges for the first time, new situations, new policies needing to be created over and over again as information changed. But I think we were really nimble in being a younger group of leaders, and being more open to remote work options than our founders may have been open to, and taking a more measured pace with bringing people back to the office, which I think has really given us a recruiting advantage. As we look at some other firms that said everybody needs to be back too soon, there have been some firms where we've had people come to us and say, I really don't like how my firm handled this.
Do you think that that's here to stay? That you'll have some working at home elements every day of the year from now on?
We do, yes. We think it's we saw our efficiency actually go up when everybody was working from home entirely, and the quality of the work remained good. I think the thing that suffers the most
collaboration,
collaboration, but our youngest employees, our least experienced employees, is they join us graduating college and haven't had that chance to work in an office and see the full spectrum of what happens to create great design.
Right, sure.
That has to be done very intentionally through teams, and you just can't see what you can't see when you're just looking at somebody through a computer screen. Your field of vision is very limited. So we've come back to the office 3 days minimum for people, and primarily with an eye towards teaching and training, and our least experienced team members are the ones that we think it's really important for us to do that with. And as a firm, we want to hire at least 5 or 6 new grads every year. They come in, they create great energy within the firm. They give us all opportunities to teach. And I love the saying, you never truly know something until you've taught somebody.
That's right.
And that chance to do that is such an important part of growing.
And there's a lot of energy.
Designer. Yeah, for sure.
So they absorb it just like a sponge.
Yes.
How many people are y'all now?
We're up to 144, I think, as of today. So we've grown nicely since the pandemic hit in March of last year, which I didn't think we'd be saying, end of summer last year even.
Right.
Our hiring, we felt comfortable starting to hire again, really new full-time positions at the beginning of this year, and have hired some really talented people. And I think in large part because of how well we handled the pandemic and the transition.
Yeah, we found some opportunity in that too. It helped, Carl, our president here, and I both did the recession together as management members.
The Great Recession.
The Great Recession.
Yeah.
And I guess I was not maybe as freaked out about the pandemic, simply that I thought, well, the recession was pretty bad. I mean, okay, I'm used to bad.
Can't be worse than that.
I've done bad before. So, so how, and y'all have rebranded, you really go by GFF. I mean, I still, as an old school guy, I think of Good, Fulton, and Farrell. I know all of them, like I know Brockett, Davis, and Drake, and who are now BDD. I mean, so how does that, wearing that new flag, or did you get new uniforms?
Well, we have redesigned our logo. We did that about 5 or 6 years ago, looking towards the retirements that were coming and wanting to have overlap. But we think there's great brand recognition in what Larry Good, Duncan Fulton, and David Farrell built. And I personally learned so much from all three of them.
Me too.
Continuing to honor them through having their initials in our name is something we're all proud of and want to do. And so, we're in a great place, and the website's gff.com. That's pretty valuable real estate to have, and we're not changing the name or going anywhere.
Well, I think it's important that companies spend most of their time looking forward while they look in the rearview mirror some and honor the past.
Sure.
And so, I know y'all can point to all these projects that you've done all over town, and maybe Duncan did it in an office building in the 1980s or 1990s, but there's still some pride in that was your work.
For sure.
Maybe you got a remodel on it.
Yeah, we've had to tear down one or two for a new development, and that's always
that's
always challenging.
Yeah, but you'd rather have the work than somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about your background. I know, unfortunately, you're a UT guy, but as a Horned Frog, you're going to a different league.
You guys have owned us for the last 12 years.
Yes, as they said in the hearings. Yeah.
I went to the University of Texas, came to Texas from out of state. I actually grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, to two transplant Northeasterners. My dad grew up in New York, and my mom grew up in Pittsburgh. So both of them came to the South to start a family, and enjoyed growing up in Tallahassee, but saw the career choices there to be pretty limited, especially in architecture, which I decided I wanted to do pretty early in life. And in middle school, we had a life science class where we were asked to pick a career and assigned a classmate to be married to and given a baby to take care of and do budgeting and other things. And I picked architecture in 7th grade and really never wavered from that.
Did the girl not work out?
The girl did not work out.
Okay, 1 out of 2,
But yeah, the decision to come to Texas was a great one. Loved Austin. And when I was graduating, I looked at where I'd go. I did an internship for KPF in New York for 9 months when I was in college, and got great exposure to the New York architecture firm scene, but also saw expectations related to hours worked, and it really was a lot. And I felt like coming to Dallas and being able to buy a house earlier in my career and seeing the opportunities here was really appealing. And I had a few friends from college that were already here, so that I could hit the ground and already have a friend network. And so I moved to Dallas in 2003, and it's turned out to be one of the better decisions I've made in my life.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I think the whole community's benefited. So you're really involved in a lot of things on the community service side. So how does that impact your work and the firm's work?
Well, our firm's culture has really been based on civic service for a long time. We're passionate about giving back to the community. We think as architects, interior designers, and landscape architects and planners, the professional skills we have can be leveraged by in-community service by helping elevate thinking related to parks and green space and road diets and walkability and placemaking. So we really instill, from the day somebody joins GFF, that this is important to us. We want you to get involved, find something you're passionate about, and make time to give back. And if you aren't sure how you can get involved or where you can get involved,
try several things.
Try several things, or we can help. Let's have a conversation about what you're interested in, and we'll connect you with some people that it'll be hard not to be excited about what's possible when you meet them.
Do you think that's impacted your own design by being involved in all these community groups and knowing more about special needs schools or group homes or all those sorts of things?
For sure. And it's so rewarding to give back and help people that have special needs in our community. So that's very fulfilling alone. One of the community service things that I did early in my career was help start the Henderson Neighborhood Association.
I remember.
Where I purchased a small townhome just south of Henderson Avenue in an area that was ripe for reinvestment with a lot of MF2 zoning.
And a lot of people that were pro-change,
Yeah.
that they had moved to that area.
Mm-hmm.
I remember right early on having a meeting about this idea, whereas some of the other neighborhood groups were maybe formed out of the 80s Greenville battles, that they were just opposed to any kind of change.
Yes.
And Henderson's been just I would never have predicted that. Maybe it's a disadvantage sometimes of being from somewhere.
Yeah.
Because that's a bad neighborhood. I mean, as if it can't become a good one.
Yeah.
That's a great area that you've seen a lot of rapid change.
Well, there were 3 neighborhood associations along Henderson Avenue, and each of them had different perspectives on what was right for their individual neighborhoods and what was right for the edge of their neighborhood along Henderson or Greenville. And the issues were very different in each of them. The zoning that's on the ground was different. The homes that were on the ground were very different.
The prices
were very different in each of them. And so that southeast quadrant of Henderson really needed reinvestment to be safe. We had a number of really tragic sexual assaults that happened because there wasn't good design, there wasn't street lighting, there weren't eyes on the street.
Right.
And with reinvestment in density, we got to a tipping point in that quadrant where now in the evenings you see people out walking dogs everywhere.
At 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it feels totally safe to go walk to the street.
Right.
And that was not the condition when I lived there. It wasn't unusual to encounter a hypodermic needle on the street. A used condom on the street.
I lived in North Oak Cliff when I was, in the early part of my career, and now North Oak Cliff is, it's not suburban, but it's certainly safe and inviting. I know y'all done work over there too.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that a lot of times I think neighbors have a hard time with the change. They just can't see far enough into the future that with the change brings positives like eyes on the street, better lighting, and just kind of bread and butter things that are
neighborhood serving retail.
Right,
you gotta have enough density.
Right, I don't have to drive 20 minutes to go get a meal.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just walk up somewhere.
Yeah, so it's an exciting time. Gentrification is something we're always thinking about in these areas. And you mentioned North Oak Cliff. That's certainly an area where that's on the top of everybody's minds, and on the Henderson Avenue area, we've seen some of that too. In these walkable urban neighborhoods, how do we preserve parts of it and keep it attainable while also being able to increase density and help with affordable housing in Dallas, which is really a big issue right now.
It is, and Dallas loves to talk a big game about that we're going to be urban and we want these dynamic projects. It just seems like from a zoning perspective, they should always be somewhere else.
Yes.
We love your project, but it needs to be down the road some in a different neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, that's the thought too, is we need more people living here, and we fared poorly in the census again.
Yes.
And we fared poorly 10 years before that.
Yeah.
And really, it's my belief, and this is why, I guess, unlike you guys, we've got a Frisco office, and we've got, and we may all open some other
we're in Fort Worth and Austin.
I know you're in Fort Worth, Austin. We're in Austin too.
Yeah.
But how do you think Dallas is doing in the battle against the suburbs first?
Well, it's clear that the suburbs are doing a better job attracting new corporate headquarters and relocations.
People with families with kids.
Yeah, Goldman Sachs, rumored to be coming to the urban core of Dallas. That's going to be a really big win if that proves to be true. And the ancillary development that will create will be really transformative, potentially for the Victory Park neighborhood. I'd love to see that happen. But yeah, we Toyota didn't even look here. If Toyota should have looked at Preston Center.
And yet a number of their executives live in Park Cities.
Yeah.
And all these places, the ones that end up in Irving, you end up with it's an ongoing problem.
Yeah. We need great sites for big corporate users that are going to create a lot of opportunities across the board for the citizens of Dallas. And we also need a lot of housing. We have an acute housing shortage. And if we say, well, we're going to tap down density and tap down housing supply because it's a luxury housing, if you're tapping down supply at any level of the spectrum from luxury to affordable workforce, you're increasing the problem.
And that's the problem is, we like to joke here that when we have neighborhood meetings, we invite property owners, and unfortunately people show up. And they come up with arbitrary numbers about what density should be. Well, it's all being absorbed.
Yeah.
So clearly, people want to live in Dallas.
Yeah.
And not all of them want to live in a single family R7-5, R10, R16 lot.
A lot of them want to live in a walkable area, which we don't have as many of them as we should as a region.
And you have a lot of people that are older that want to live in a high rise. They don't want a yard and these sorts of things.
Yeah. How great would it be if we had a DART rail station at Knox Henderson popping up on either side of the freeway?
It'd be wonderful, because you would have enough people that would want to do that.
Yeah.
No, I think that things are changing slowly. But often it's somewhere else. Oh, that'd be great for other neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So do you think Dallas can get past that and not panic when someone says we want to do 70 to 90 units per acre?
Yeah.
Well, I try to get them to concentrate on it's a $100 million building.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty nice.
Yeah. I think we're getting there. I mean, you're seeing good projects get approved, and you're even seeing some projects that aren't following the rules that have been established through precedent of past cases get done in the last few years. I think we're in a pretty good place where if the project is well designed, if we as zoning consultants and architects are good listeners through the process and hear the concerns of the community
and try to address the ones that are addressable.
Yeah, address every single one we can.
Yeah.
But what is your concern? Well, it's the building is crowding the street. Well, if we go a little bit taller, we might be able to increase setbacks, or you really want more open space. Okay, there's a way to solve for that, and sometimes those solutions are going to cost a little bit more money, and that it doesn't always work.
Or you need more building to pay for it.
Yeah, or there's always the ceiling, a financial limitation that we have to deal with to make these projects real. But most of the concerns that I hear when we're meeting in somebody's living room who's concerned about a project, or at a neighborhood association meeting, or at the Oak Lawn Committee, most of the concerns that I hear are addressable through creative design solutions. And from having founded that Henderson Neighborhood Association and having a lot of meetings where there were different viewpoints, not everybody even in that southeast quadrant was aligned. And so there were a lot of conversations we had about different opinions and concerns and talking through things. And I at that point in time in my career, I took for granted how people didn't understand oftentimes how to read a building section and what it means, and how to look at a 3D model of something and understand where you are.
I think my background as being a professor helped me deal with that. I assume there are different learning styles, and people bring big different strengths and weaknesses with them. At one point, the Oak Lawn Committee had a lot of practicing professionals, and they were really great at that. They expected that. They dealt with plan view in their professional life. Now the group's a lot younger and more dynamic and different, a lot more like the whole city, but a lot less plan view oriented.
You really have to tell the full story of what you're proposing.
And show it to them in elevations, and not just to the building, but of the
context.
The context, creating a place.
How does this project fit within the site it's surrounded by? How is it a good neighbor? What are you doing?
What does it add to the whole universe there?
Yeah, sidewalks are important. Landscaped parkways are important. The tree canopy is important in Oak Lawn, where we've got a really nice tree canopy that everybody wants to see preserved.
And it is walkable, mostly. I mean, there's certain pockets that are not as linked to others, but generally it is an area, and people do walk because it is walkable.
Yeah, straddling the Katy Trail makes it some of the most attractive land we have in our region.
It does.
It's waterfront property in Dallas. And I'm of the opinion that given the trail and the ability to open up, alternative means of transportation along that trail to get to jobs, that it is appropriate to have good density in a lot of those areas that are close to the trail, and it is appropriate.
They can walk, ride a bike.
Yeah.
Maybe DART is going to improve the bus system. I think that'd be, as a kid growing up here, my granddad rode the bus in from Lakewood to Republic National Bank. And that was very common in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Dallas had a bus transit, but DART didn't exist. And you saw lots of guys in suits with hats, kind of madmen attire, hopefully with better behavior. It would be really good to see that again where people did that.
Yeah, I read a blog post or an email blast that Matt Goodman with D Magazine sent out this weekend about the design change, moving to more of a gridded system. And it's really exciting. I mean, it is. The hub and spoke is just, it's not work.
I can remember when the Mavericks first came, people would ride the bus to games.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So maybe there'll be more of that, maybe more linkages to rail. We had a guest recently. We were talking about. There are probably 2 or 3 cases in my career where I didn't win that I'm still sort of upset about. Mm-hmm. One was at Mockingbird Station where we couldn't get residential done at a transit-oriented development site, and that's one I still puzzle that some people in Dallas just don't believe in, that we're becoming a real city. Mm-hmm. They still think of us as mostly R75, a collection of R75 independent republics.
Yes, we're getting there. I mean, it's exciting. What Clyde Warren Park is doing as an urban amenity. I live at the Christopher, 2 blocks away from Clyde Warren Park, and my mom was in town for 2 weeks visiting us, and we walked a few times to Clyde Warren Park in the evening. And it's a town square. There's kids running around playing with balls. There's a salsa dancing lesson going on the stage with music, and you feel like you're part of the community when you have great spaces like that are filled with people, where you bring people from all walks of life together to get to know each other and enjoy each other's company. We've come so far, and I'm really excited about what the next decade will bring.
So what do you think the next decade looks like in Dallas?
Well, I think you're going to start to see the next census. You're going to see a lot of growth. You're seeing higher density projects now. I think downtown has a real opportunity to densify. The zoning's already on the ground there.
Maybe the Cedars too.
Lots of surface parking lots. Yeah, the Cedars. If we get the high-speed rail project, what that might be the catalyst for around it, both from an employment kind of corporate office perspective and multifamily perspective, would be exciting. But there's a lot of infill neighborhoods that have those opportunities to get more dense, and that don't have single-family adjacencies, which are always going to be challenging in Dallas. If you're right up against single-family zoning, we know it's going to take a really good project to be able to move forward and win the support of those homeowners. But yeah, we've got the Trinity River as this great asset and resource, and the new gateway parks that are being planned are exciting. And how we get people in is one of the big things that need to be solved. And
how does that compare, though, over the next 10 years with Prosper, Salina, strong school districts that, Frisco isn't all the way built out?
Yeah.
How does Dallas meet that challenge with families that have largely public school needs?
It helps us maintain competitiveness when we're compared to Atlanta and Phoenix and North Carolina, that we have that developable land. If you want to live in that single family lifestyle, that single family community, that's an option for you, and it's attainable at a lower price point than it would be in these urban neighborhoods in Dallas. So I think it's ultimately a good thing that we can still grow and maintain affordability here, because people can drive a bit farther and get what they want. But these infill neighborhoods where you can walk to Greenville, you can walk to Henderson, and you're a 6-minute drive to downtown Dallas, and that's hard to replicate in a lot of cities.
It's almost, it just doesn't exist very many places.
Yeah. So I think you're going to continue to see that to grow and appreciate and value. And as we start to add more density, you're going to see more grocery stores and more restaurants, and the quality of life, I think, is going to improve with the density.
The restaurant thing certainly has been a huge changer since Dallas was not a restaurant city, and now it really is. And I think that's something in that next 10-year period you'll see continue.
Yeah, it takes people to support the restaurants and people that want to go out and
want a lot of variety.
Yeah.
And I do think there's areas like North Dallas, not north of Dallas, but North Dallas, there's a lot of opportunity where there's a lot of old multifamily that needs to be, it needs to go away and have a mix of uses and integrate, because that, as a kid here, North Dallas was really, there was a lot of shopping and restaurants and those kind of things. That's largely migrated even past Plano. And so I think there's a real opportunity in North Dallas for renewal.
Yeah. But 121 in the Tollway is essentially a new downtown for our region. It's split between 3 cities. But,
yes.
And it's for all intents and purposes, there's, downtown Dallas, downtown Fort Worth, and downtown Plano, Frisco, Carrollton. There.
Absolutely.
Or the Colony.
And then you have these other kind of enclaves of excellence or where there's some density, Preston Center, Las Colinas, City Line, I know you've worked out there. And you think we'll see more of those kind of smaller hubs in the region?
I do, especially as we continue to grow out. I mean,
I do
380
too.
in the tollway
Right.
is developing as another hub, and it's good. We don't want somebody who lives in Prosper at north of 380 in the tollway to be driving downtown to downtown Dallas for work. That doesn't help us solve our region's problems. We want people to be able to have the lifestyle they want, living within 15 minutes to 30-minute drive of where they work. And if we can solve that and have enough options for where people can live and work in close proximity, then it grows sustainable.
Well, thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Any final thoughts?
Well, it's been fun, Dallas.
You too.
Hopefully
Look forward to
you'll
working with you on
have me back
things in the
sometime.
future. Good. Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.